Craig, you're the author of Dad, like I mentioned in my intro, and the creator of Father and Nation. Can you just give us a brief explanation as to what both of those are so we can get a better understanding as to where you're coming from on this?
Well, Dad, it was inspired ultimately by a letter my son wrote to me when he was 18 years old, just saying, "Thank you, Dad," one of those tear-jerking letters. He wrote it without me asking, just unsolicited, on my 48th birthday as a birthday present. And it just totally blew me away. And I couldn't read it for the first few times without crying. And he was basically saying, "Thank you for being a great dad." And we'd walked quite a journey. You know, I'd been a single dad for 6 or 7 years. I have a son who's now 21 and a daughter who's turning 18 this year. And at the same time, we'd also done a lot of work in townships with economic development, but began to realize, and that's really how FAN came about, that the real issue was households. Households are quite dysfunctional in many communities. And the main issue in those households is a lack of a good man, or an abusive man, or just a man who's checked out. Most of the households had a woman, an aunt, a grandmother, but the absence of a father made a significant difference. And then a bit of research too. UNICEF has recently said that absent fathers is the single biggest social issue of our times. And so a lot of research is coming out about the necessity of a good father in a house, which makes a phenomenal difference to the household. So the book was really inspired by the work in those communities and what my son. And the premise of the book is twofold. One is that as men, we can only give what we have to give. As women too, you can only give what you've got inside you. And as a man, you're called upon to impart masculinity to your son, true masculinity, not the distorted version that's often, and also to validate and nurture the femininity of your daughter. So we have to first look inside and see, what is a man, which is a confusing question in today's society. There's a lot of bad press about what a man is, a lot of confusion. Yeah. So what is a man? And then work on, so it's a parallel journey of becoming a man, a true man, and working on yourself, and we all need to as men, and then imparting to your children what they need. And the second part of the book's all about being a dad, not just the fact that you're a dad because you have a kid. That's the noun. You're a dad because of what you do. So I coined the phrase dad verbs. And we talk about 12 different dad verbs that are crucial for every dad to know and practice and implement in their kids' lives, both for boys and girls. Very, very important. So that's essentially the book. And it's become an absolute passion of mine, true fatherhood and what it's all about. And then Father and Nation was born out of our realization through this economic development project in communities that really we need to, if we can heal men and restore them to be great fathers and good men, we can heal the nation. Because, prison statistics, 15 times more men in jail than women. And what does that say about who's messing up here? Gender-based violence, rape, crisis. It's just absent fathers. It's a major, major crisis. So if we can restore men to being what they're supposed to be and being true fathers, we can definitely restore the world.
Now, on that note, what role does a father play in the development of his sons?
Huge role, huge. He's the primary role model. There's a lovely saying that says a father is his son's first hero and his daughter's first romance. And it's so true. There's this incredible impact that a father has on his children's lives. And so, like you were saying earlier, it's not what you say, it's what you do. Yeah. So as a father, you need to model these things. If you want your child to read, there's no good saying read and you don't read. He'll see you reading and he'll follow what you do. So massive, massive role. There's a story, if you don't mind me telling you quickly, about my daughter. When she was 3 years old, she had to go in for surgery for a small hole in her heart. It wasn't a crisis, but she had to go in. And modern technology was so fantastic. They didn't, instead of cutting open her chest, they went in through a catheter into the vein. So it was an in and out, overnight. But I said to the surgeon, please can I come in with her as you put her under anesthetic, just to minimize her trauma. And then when she comes around in the recovery room, if I can be there, so she's just to minimize the trauma. Because for a little 3-year-old girl to go into this scary, which she did. It was a great success, and about a month or so later we were having a braai at our house with some friends and family, and I overheard her saying to some of her cousins and her friends, she said these words, she said, my heart was broken, but my daddy fixed it. Oh. And I just realized, as a father...
She was the last person she saw in the first...
Yeah, so she thought I did it, but she viewed me as the man who could fix anything, do anything, the hero. In her perception, that was who I was, and that started the question. It made me realize how much I'm into her, and it also made me realize, geez, I better do something about making sure that I am the man she needs me to be.
And Craig, can you just remind us how people can find more information about Father and Nation, where they can pick up the book Dad?
Well, the book, Dad. I mean, that's a picture. It's the Power and Beauty of Authentic Fatherhood. It's at most. In fact, we launched it at the Book Lounge, but it's at most major bookstores now. Yeah. And Father a Nation. We have a website, www.fatheranation.co.za, and there's a lot of information about that as well on there.
And Vrushka, how can we get hold of the Book Lounge?
We have a website. We try to maintain it. Booklounge.coza. And we also do story time on a Saturday morning for little ones. And what's very cool is we have lots of dads who bring their kids. So come and see and come and talk and, just start somewhere. This is the thing. Even if your child is now 10 and you think, okay, well, have we ruined him? No, we haven't.